If you are hopeless in life, you feel hopeless, you've done everything you can do, there's only two actions. You can be passive and quit and just disappear, or you can fight. Brian Flores said, "It's who I am. I'm going to fight." Black coaches are at wit's end. What can we do? We don't get opportunities. Take the New York Giants, just this organization. Think about this. So the New York Giants, two coaches have really worked there, Parcells and Coughlin. When you tell me Brian Flores is rigid and tough, I laugh in your face. Parcells and Coughlin? The Giants, when they had Tom Coughlin, had to have private meetings regularly to tell him to tone it down. He was so intense. So Coughlin leaves, and they hire Ben McAdoo, who had never been a head coach. It is a disaster. They do it again. They hire a coach, Pat Shurmur, who was a coordinator. It may have been worse. It was a disaster. They then hire Joe Judge, who'd never even been a coordinator. It was worse than the previous two. It was an utter disaster. So disaster, disaster, disaster. Wouldn't you think you would go, let's see. Let's go back to the thing that worked. Hire somebody who's been a head coach. And by the way, the soft, nice guy, the Shurmur, that doesn't work. And there's this guy in Florida. He's winning with a bad owner, a bad roster, and a below-average quarterback, which is virtually impossible in the NFL. I'm not saying you had to hire Brian Flores, but you wouldn't even give him anything more than a sham interview proven by Bill Belichick's texts. Folks, he's from Brooklyn. He fits the Coughlin-Parcells profile. He's from that Belichick tree, which appears to hold huge weight with the Giants. And he didn't get a legitimate interview. Coordinator, Joe Judge. And you're really going to go back to the coordinator thing. And by the way, Brian Daboll may work. Colin, he made Josh Allen work. Never put Josh Allen and Daniel Jones in the same sentence. New rule on the show. It's Joy and I's fourth rule. Never put them in the same sentence. But you can put Daniel Jones in the same sentence with Tua. And he won with Tua. If you're a black coach, think about outside of yourself for a second. So Dennis Allen is probably going to get the Saints job. He's in-house. Dennis Allen was an utter disaster as a Raiders coach, 8-28. I am not against him getting another chance. I'm for young people failing, getting another chance. But Brian Flores couldn't get a legitimate interview. Josh McDaniels is going to get the Raiders job. He was 11-17. He admits, and again, I think he's going to succeed. I do think he'll work in Oakland. I think they're Vegas. They have players. They have Derek Carr. But he's getting a second job. Brian Flores not only didn't fail, not only wasn't overwhelmed, he did virtually the impossible in the National Football League. Give me another example. Bad owner, bottom 5 quarterback, that's where Tua ranks, terrible roster, and back-to-back winning seasons. There's no comp for it. If you're a black coach, you can passively go into the night. Or you can fight. Those texts from Belichick to Flores are so humiliating, are so maddening. I mean, we know there's been racist owners. We know that. NBA had to get rid of one. We've seen multiple instances. But Brian Flores was on CBS this morning, and he was asked by Nate Burleson, former NFL player, great young broadcaster, why, though he knew it was a sham interview with the Giants, he went ahead with the interview. Think about this. The hit rate on hiring head coaches. This morning I was talking to the staff, and I'm like, what is it, 50%? They laughed at me. It's like 7%. make it. 7%. In the last 5 years, Vrabel was great. McVay's obviously been a home run. McDermott. Last 5 or 6 years, we've had a handful of hits. But Brian Flores, if not fired, is in that group because he had back-to-back winning seasons. And think about this. We now think Zach Taylor is a good coach. He's in the Super Bowl with Joe Burrow. Before he got Zach Taylor, before he got Burrow, he was 6-25. That's with two things that Flores had: suboptimal ownership and a bad roster. Zach Taylor was 6-25-1. Got a great quarterback and wins. Flores had the same bad ownership and the bad roster, never got a great quarterback, and still won. Zach Taylor was 6-25. The best quarterback won every division. Brian Flores got in trouble for two reasons. Number one, he wouldn't take $100,000 checks to tank games. And number two, he knew you couldn't win at a high level with his quarterback and fought for it. And to that, he got fired.